overwhelming victory for our ideology specifically.
Mamdani heads up. A MAMDILLIon.
A MAMDILLIon votes.
Mamdani heads up. Just Zohran Mamdani wins. The mom date is in.
The mom date of heaven.
He can do literally whatever it wants. Welcome the red apple.
The light of Allah has reached New York.
On your marks, get set, Zoe.
Oh.
Because we're ready for this agenda right now, man. And it's good, but I wanted to open up the show today. Obviously, Zohran Mamdani won. Obviously, there were crazy elections, crazy off-year elections that went on Tuesday, absolutely screwing us with the news cycle. But you know how it goes, loyal listener. We're going to talk about that in the main show. But I wanted to start off this show by going through some reactions to Mamdani's win before we actually get to talking about his win and what it means. And no better place to look for reactions to measured, competent, thoughtful reactions to somebody winning an election than X.com.
This is a HITO classic right here.
I had to revive the HITO classic segment, reading tweets.
Reading tweets, collecting the cope. Inject this shit into my veins, brother.
Because these are bangers. This first one here is from Laura Logan. Now, I didn't know who this person was at first, but she's got 1.2 million followers on X. Just straight up, just exactly setting the tone for what we're going to see. New York just pissed on the graves of every person who died on 9/11.
Come on, man.
Like, they just, like, are so quick to cynically invoke literally anything to make you scared.
Islamophobia is fucking rampant in this country right now.
And that's like the point of like talking about all this, because it is insane the casual amounts of Islamophobia that people are just allowed to throw out there with seemingly like no consequences whatsoever. You should not be able to go out there and invoke 9/11 in this way just because you didn't like the guy who won because he's Muslim.
He was like, what, 8 years old when 9/11 happened?
Oh, I got a tweet about that later.
But like all they're doing is generalizing to all Muslims, saying that like Islam did 9/11. That's crazy. That is crazy.
No, it's absolutely deranged. And you said wasn't Mamdani 8 years old when he did 9/11? This next tweet,
when he did 9/11. Keep it in.
It was 8 years old whenever 9/11 happened. This next tweet is from another like conservative on X. This is Ashley. It's got 410,000 views. Democrats, you can't blame people like Mamdani for 9/11. He was a child. Also, Democrats, your white ancestors might have had slaves 200 years ago, so you are also to blame.
Oh my God, dog.
Like, I just like, what gets a person here?
I don't know.
What gets a person here? How are you so bought into, one, not only Islamophobia, but two, like the idea that white kids feel bad about slavery?
It's just like,
it's the marriage of two things that are just not real.
It feels like beneath us to actually dive into the logic here. But of course, when a Democrat says, or when a person on the left says that there are historical effects that are still being felt from slavery, Jim Crow, black code laws, and so on, and we should do something about those, that is not saying that like white person, you as an individual are the reason that slavery happened and you should be held accountable for it today. And you cannot say in any way that Zohran is responsible for fucking 9/11.
It's fucking insane. Like, you admit that he was a child.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's a Muslim guy and he's the mayor of New York. That's it. That's it. It's just like...
And I can't emphasize how much his campaign is just about free bus.
Yeah.
It's about free bus. It's about rent freeze. It's about government-owned grocery stores.
Childcare. Free childcare.
Like, that his campaign is just about affordability. And the fact that right-wingers so reflexively reference 9/11 and screech about Zohran Mamdani makes me think that like he was doing everything right. Because this is the only thing they can say. Towards the end there, the only attack they had on Zohran Mamdani was, look, he's brown, 9/11. Yeah. That was it.
It's just 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. It's like the Family Guy meme. Yeah. It's like the Family Guy thing. This next tweet's from Representative Andy Ogles. Hope is not lost. We can still denaturalize him. Communists cannot win. Conservatives love to talk about cancel culture as this thing where it's like, oh, you can't beat their ideas, so you try to cancel them. You can't beat this guy's ideas, so you try to kick him out of the country.
Well, it's like, you don't want me to call you a Nazi, but I'm sorry, you're talking about denaturalizing or taking citizenship away from your political opponents. Like what do you, like, I'm sorry, but the comparison's right there. You know what I mean? I'm not the one making it. I'm just noticing things.
No, literally, I'm just asking questions.
I'm just asking questions.
I got another banger here from DC Drano. Young female liberals...
Jesus Christ.
Young female liberal voters shriek about imaginary handmade tales on the right, then vote for a guy whose culture doesn't even allow women to pick who they marry.
Oh my God,
I think his wife picked him. His wife famously picked him on Hinge.
Oh my God, dude.
It's just... It's just racism. It's just Islamophobia. And it's accepted and it's normal in conservatism. And shit, it's even normal for like moderate Democrats right now because they don't like the guy.
And like the thing that gets me when right-wingers talk about like, oh, these countries in the Middle East, they're so backwards, but liberals are always so in support of Muslims and stuff like that. It's like conservatives here are far closer to agreeing with the Taliban than they are to agreeing with us.
Yes.
Like if we're talking about like cultural and social issues, they're basically one-to-one the same group. It's just they have different religions and they hate each other. Like, I'm sorry.
They love to talk about like girls not being able to go to school after the Taliban took over Afghanistan when we pulled out, which is a bad thing. Condemn. But then I get on Twitter and I see people talking about how women shouldn't go to college.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
It's the same thing, man.
Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
They're just conservative. They're both conservative.
It's just Western.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. This next tweet, this guy is a Newsmax host, Todd Stames. The Muslim smile has turned to an angry snarl. Good luck, New York City. You got snookered. Brother, what are you talking about?
That's so racist.
It's giving, like, racist, obviously. It's giving drama kid. It's giving Taylor Swift when she wants to throw in a big word to a song to sound smart. What are you talking about? You got snookered. You're racist and lame, brother. That's a deadly combination.
I mean, the comparisons to like animals, right? Like the sort of like animalizing Zohran.
Oh, the snarl and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous and it's just racist. But when we're talking about racist, when we're talking about Islamophobes, we got to talk about a HITO classic person that we mention every once in a while. This is Valentina Gomez.
Oh, she's friend of the show.
Friend of the show. She's running for Congress in Texas. She's famous, at least on this show, for making an ad where she talks about getting immigrants out of the country by like making a life-size straw doll of an immigrant and literally shooting it in the back of the fucking head while it's tied to a chair.
Yeah, but political violence is, I think, on the left.
Exactly.
The right.
Exactly. That's Valentina Gomez, and this is what she had to say.
The worst instance of violence that she's ever committed is doing that rap song with Tom McDonald.
Oh my God.
Or wait, was it Tom McDonald or some other like MAGA rapper?
Either, yeah, they're all the same.
That shit was awesome.
Dude,
anyway,
these people are so lame. Yeah. These people are lame. But this is what Valentina Gomez had to say about Mamdani winning. The only way to save America is by having a total Muslim ban. I will ban burqas, public prayer, halal food, and Sharia cities only if you help me get to Congress. New York equals Muslim. Michigan equals Muslim. Minnesota equals Muslim. You're not being tolerant. You're being conquered. That is just the most mask off that you could possibly get. And what the fuck did halal food do?
But so many right-wingers have been saying like, oh, we're actively being conquered. Zohran won here. Omar Fateh got 45% of the vote here or whatever. And it's like, dog, they live in the same city as you do.
Yeah,
they've lived here for years. They're not doing any conquering. They're just like engaging in politics. Mm-hmm. And tweets like that just read like, I'm going to exterminate these people.
And it's like, I feel like this is like, there's like the like obvious racism is obvious, right? Obvious Islamophobia is obvious. But like, what halal food do to you?
Halal food kind of begs.
It's just a kind of food, dog. Yeah. Could you imagine if somebody, we need to ban kosher food? No, like it's just food.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing is like Islamophobia is so incredibly normalized. It's hard to imagine politicians like in mass, public figures in mass talking about any other group the way they talked about Zohran Mamdani in this last election cycle.
You wouldn't be able to get away with it, rightfully so. And you shouldn't be able to get away with it. You can't just get out here and say that Muslim people are evil and are trying to conquer the United States because one guy won in New York City. And you can't invoke 9/11 as if all Muslims did 9/11 or are responsible for 9/11.
And, like, that's not to say that like marginalized groups of any racial background have like it easy in the United States. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be racial epithets. There's always going to be dog whistles and euphemisms and stuff like that. But like, I feel like we haven't seen anything on the level of what they tried to do and what they did say about Zohran Mamdani and like Islam generally. It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, because it's like, this is like a new low for conservatives right here. They have not gone after anyone else as viciously as this. They didn't even go after Joe Biden this viciously.
Yeah.
Like, it's fundamentally insane what they're allowed to get away with right now. And just on the pure like Zohran hate tweets, I want to end off with Katie Miller.
Okay.
Katie Miller, friend of the show, colleague. She's a podcaster.
Competition in our
competition,
our market.
Exactly. Colleague, podcaster nepo baby. Just you know what I'm saying.
Someone who recently rage quit Piers Morgan's show. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did hear about that.
She was like screeching about someone being anti-Semitic. Of course they weren't, and then she rage quit.
Interesting. Yeah, she said about Mamdani winning, can't get over all the Gen Z girls who preach women's rights, then vote for a guy who refuses to condemn Sharia law. These people just throw around Sharia law. At any point, anytime a Muslim enters the conversation on anything, it's America's turning into Sharia law. What the hell are you talking about?
It's like, again, his campaign was about free bus.
That's what I'm saying.
Women take the bus too. Zohran wants to make the bus free and safe. Like, that's all he, like, it's fucking these people, the delusion that these people have found themselves in because of one popular candidate is fucking insane.
No, it's literally deranged. And I can't understate how deranged it is. And it's like, I was thinking too, because I woke up after Zohran won and got great sleep, going to bed happy after the blue wave, right? I woke up the next day and I was ready to get on Twitter fingers and start cracking jokes, because that's what we do around here.
Naturally.
And I was thinking to myself, oh, sources are telling me that the Muslim call to prayer can be heard throughout New York City after Mamdani's win. That's the type of thing I was thinking about getting out there and joking about. But then I logged on to Twitter, and that's like damn near what conservatives were saying.
Oh my God,
you know what?
dude.
Like, that's what they're saying when they're talking about, oh, Sharia law, welcome home to New York City, Zohran Mamdani and all Muslims are responsible for 9/11, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, it feels like I can't even make the joke, because it feels like that's what half the country thinks is reality.
Yeah, no, exactly. It would be taken seriously. Nobody can tell. Nobody would be able to tell if you're doing satire or not.
You'd get the comments under the tweets like, Fox News is watching, dog. Like, come on. Like, it's fundamentally ridiculous. But that's like those reactions. I do have 2 bonus tweets that I want to read out with you guys. They're not like as insane as those ones, but they're funny for like different reasons. This one was from Ben Shapiro on CNN. Mamdani said, like, quote, "There's no problem too big for government to solve and no matter too small for government to care about." Then Ben Shapiro said, "That's what totalitarians would say."
What the? Wait, read the first one again.
The Zohran quote?
Yes.
Zohran said, "There's no problem too big for government to solve and no matter too small for government to care about." And Ben Shapiro said that was totalitarian. Brother, it's like, it's not totalitarian to go out there and have a positive vision of government.
Nobody knows what totalitarianism means.
No, literally.
Like Zohran Mamdani is essentially saying the government can help people.
The government can help people. And no matter like whatever personal inconvenience you're experiencing, there is a solution that we can work towards when we come together and do government.
Like, nothing about that tweet says the government should take total control of your life and completely dominate you in every single way. It's saying, hey, the government can help.
Absolutely. Just fundamentally ridiculous there from Ben Shapiro. But I get these small government guys got to grift somehow. They got to do whatever they can to make you think that any semblance of government anywhere is just the worst thing possible for you. And it works sometimes, so whatever. But this last bonus tweet before we get to the main show is from Greg Gutfeld. And it's not about Mamdani, but it's about just elections in general and the massive loss conservatives experienced this Tuesday. Greg Gutfeld said, quote, "You know what's amazing? Aren't you like shocked that you're not seeing any buildings on fire or any looting after this election? So strange." Famously, in 2020. Famously in 2020, after Trump lost, there was an insurrection at the Capitol. I don't think Greg Gutfeld, I don't think conservatives can go do the we're not burning and looting things after we lose an election after what happened after Trump lost an election.
Well, like, I don't think there were any.
It's never happened. It's just a thing when like protests happen.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, I don't think anybody was looting or burning buildings after Kamala Harris lost last year.
No, it's not a thing that happens. It's not a thing that Democrats do. That's why it's so funny.
That's so fucking good, dude. And it's like, well, just give him time, you know? I'm not convinced that Zohran Mamdani is safe in his own city right now. So stay safe, brother.
Yeah, so that's I guess that's how conservatives have reacted to the big news of this week. And I think it's time to get in the show to see our reactions.
So true. So true. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome.
It's HITO, and today is Thursday, November 6th, and we're bringing you more news. It's Election Day.
And you know what? Frankly, it's a good Thursday, November 6th. There's good news that we're talking about this time.
Yeah. 1 year ago, in some change, 1 year ago today, in some change, Donald Trump won.
It was like the worst news.
We were down bigly. We were very upset about it. Everybody very upset, and reasonably so, given what's happened over the past year. But a couple of days ago, fucking blue wave. The highs and lows of American politics.
Absolute just mandate coming through right here. Oh my goodness, man.
So today we'll obviously be talking about the election roundup. We got some words for Zohran Mamdani himself. Shout out King. 1 MAMDILLION votes. We're going to talk about Virginia, New Jersey, and a whole bunch of other elections that happened around the country. And we're going to draw some conclusions.
We're making conclusions. We're doing analysis.
That's right.
We're big election heads.
Before we get into that, though, I'll remind you, become a patron.
You got to come on.
You get early access to all the content.
We were already late to this news, guys. Don't be later.
Exactly. We literally said on the Monday episode, we're missing all the election news. Quite frankly, I didn't realize how big the election news would be.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be like Mamdani wins, and then everything else would be kind of like here or there.
Off your election, who cares? Glenn Pumpkin, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But no, it was really big. I think just about everybody underestimated how big the blue wave was going to be. So we'll be talking about that. But if you want early access to all of our content, including episodes like this one, it's over on patreon.com/InTheOfficePod.
While we're talking about content.
Oh, boy.
Guys, HITO is expanding.
We are.
HITO is expanding. We're moving into the Substack realm. We're authors now.
We are authors. We're putting pen to paper. So you've had us in audio form since the beginning. You've had us in video form for quite a long time.
Yep.
And now we are writing prose.
We're putting down the written word. We're going to be condensing the things that we say on this show and putting them into prose, putting them in the written word, writing them down, immortalizing them forever. Yeah. Put this in the Library of Congress.
Today, we officially launched Tertiary News. That is our newsletter under the Head in the Office banner. The first piece is already up there, in fact, about elections and about political scandals.
It's a good one.
And we'll be talking about that a little bit today, but if you want to go and read that article, and more importantly, if you want to become a subscriber completely for free, to our Substack, you can do so. Link is down there in the description.
But like there is like a paid option, like low key, like that you could press.
Yeah, you could,
but like nothing's hitting behind it.
Support independent media, and we will be grateful for you forever. So check that out in the description, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sort of like the idea behind Tertiary News is that it's going to be like the more condensed, like written versions of the like important stories that we talk about on this show. At least that's what it's going to be for now. So like today, obviously the big news is elections. We're turning it, we're taking it, putting it into the written word. We kind of wanted a thing that's like more easily shareable, like a step up from a clip, a step down from a 2-hour podcast, right? We've gone crazy in the minute 30-second format and also gone crazy in the hour 30-minute format. Now we're kind of getting in that 6-minute read format, so that you can spread the HITO gospel more easily.
Yeah, so if you've got any friends or family members who you've tried to put onto the pod, but they've rejected you, but they're big article heads,
huge,
we've got the solution for you right here. And fundamentally, I think on Substack and like through the written word and newsletters and stuff like that, we're going to reach a different audience. Yeah. And our goal, of course, is complete global indoctrination.
Well, we're evangelizing. That's what we got to do. We got to spread.
We're getting up on our soapbox. We are public intellectuals now. So check out the Substack.
Well, that's what it is. Jeremy and Gage, podcasters, public intellectuals, writers.
Big.
Huge.
Share it with your friends. Also, all of the other links down in the description as always. And lastly, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple.
No Apple reviews this week and strictly Spotify reviews. So we're moving it from the back of the show up front. You guys got inadvertently promoted. Woohoo. Happy for you. It's not going to last.
Lock in. This first one from AWAGS0218, 5 out of 5 good noodle stars for the most informed and quirked up white boys. I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence. Been a HITO head for over 2 years now after watching a clip of you two on TikTok.
Banger.
Listening to your takes on current national politics is a breath of fresh air in the modern podcast landscape. Keep up the good fight, boys. From a Wednesday weenie and Friday freeloader. Oh, I should also note, on the Substack, all the audio pods will be available too.
Huge.
Posted at normal
Huge
times
on that.
for the public, of course. Early access to podcasts are always a thing on Patreon.
Yes.
But
it's just it's another thing that you could like look at.
If you prefer to listen on Substack, if you're a Substack head, it's over there.
Exactly.
Anyways.
And once we expand and do domination, whatever, this next one from D, 6-7 out of 5 stars. As an empathetic liberal man in my early 20s, it's painful to talk about politics with my boomer father. However, this podcast has helped me educate myself on important topics and fight back against the Fox News propaganda following crowd. Still a Wednesday weenie and Friday freeloader, because in this economy, who wouldn't be? But whoa now. Whoa now. A lot of us would be. Thank you very much. Maybe when we can get an AOC Bernie administration, we'll all be able to afford luxuries like the HITO podcast.
That's not a luxury.
It's a necessity.
This is an essential.
What price would you put on staying informed?
Exactly.
What price would you put on being an informed citizen and helping you fulfill your civic duty?
Democracy dies in darkness. I just came up with that. That's top of mind.
That's a phenomenal slogan to put on my paywalled service.
$300 million out of 5 stars. As a longtime HITO head, 2022 midterms.
Oh, midterm madness.
Last time we were hopeful. I would say, I feel I can confidently say that this is the top tertiary news source out there. Jeremy and Gage always find ways to break through the tricky semantics of complex topics and bring it back down to earth. I've even used info I've learned here to further wokeify my Republican-hating liberal mom.
Big on that. Come on now.
Big shout out to you guys for always keeping me informed, especially about things happening in my own city. Critical support to Pritzker. Shout out to liberal mom. Shout out to parents whose only like political ideology is just hating Republicans.
And boy, do they hate.
Yes.
Boy, do they hate without standards, man, as we'll talk about later. This, honestly,
I obviously have issues with liberals. I think they're inconsistent sometimes and they hold us back in some ways, but huge shout out to like the middle-aged voter that just fucking despises the Republican Party.
No, they lock in when like absolutely necessary. Not like when like if things are on the precipice of turning bad, like the 2024 election, but after things have already gotten bad, I guess they really do low-key lock in. It's kind of insane, right? This next review from Caitlin, 5 out of 5 glittery gold stars from a former Wednesday weenie and current Patreon/non-parasocial friend.
That's right.
Shout out Maddie for putting me on these guys, because it really is as simple as good things are good and bad things are bad. I've been spreading the HITO gospel here in liberal SoCal, condemning Hamas and all forms of political violence, and also speaking the language of Los Angeles and spreading that politics is Hollywood for uggos. My most important takeaway, of course. Huge.
That's real. This last one from Eric Haven, 6 or 7 out of 5 stars. Still waiting for the Head Now news or whatever rebrand. Can have it all, just all of it. The HITO Now or Head Now already came out.
Exactly.
It's out in the wild.
We've already rebranded. There's information floating out there in the world in physical form.
Exactly. So shout out to you all that got the postcards. I think this next one might be the best one yet, though.
Ooh.
We're cooking up. We got some ideas.
We really set a new bar each time.
I feel like we do. Just an endless reservoir of creativity over here.
Precisely.
In HITO Studios. HITO Media LLC. All right, but it's time to get into the news.
Yes.
The news is big, folks.
It is big.
I don't know that there's much more to talk about other than election news. There's a lot.
Sparse things here and there, but I feel like it is appropriate to just focus this episode on elections, because there's so much election to talk about, and there's so much winning. I just can't stop winning.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of is Dick Cheney fucking died.
That's true. That did also
But that was
happen.
just a good omen for Zohran's victory.
That's insane that happened on the day of the election.
Yeah, he was so scared of a Zohran victory that he died. So
insane. And Zohran victory.
And Zohran victory. Exactly. And let's talk about that victory, because Election Day was Tuesday, as you all know, across the country. And in short, it was a blue wave. Democrats won just about everywhere. It was an absolutely huge victory. Starting with the crushing victory in New York City. Zohran Mamdani, our king, our Lord, our Savior. I am absolutely putting this politician up on a pedestal.
Yes.
I'm going to defend all of his actions, even if I think they're unprincipled.
Uncritical to Zohran, no matter what he does.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if he pulls through on any of his promises or not. I have fully bought into the project. I have associated my identity with him.
Well, our identities have truly become intermingled. Like, I am Zohran and he is me. At least in my mind. It's parasocial, really.
Yeah, it really was a near flawless victory for Zohran Mamdani. I can't think of any actual controversy he had aside from...
And boy, are controversies like a hot topic right now.
Oh,
Boy, are candidates just having controversies and sticking through the campaign the entire time.
Zohran basically didn't have any scandals, though. The only two I can think of are the college one, where he said that he was African-American, which is like technically true.
And nobody gave a shit about that.
And nobody cared. And then he took his wife out to a nice restaurant.
Oh, that's true.
Like, and now they're trying to make the fact that his wife wasn't like on the campaign with him into some kind of scandal, but it's like, who cares?
It's like clearly they vibe.
Like, they're cool. I love how there is so little to criticize Zohran for that they have to resort to these stupid ass scandals that nobody cares about, or 9/11 posting. Like, there's so little to complain about when it comes to Zohran. He's so popular and so good at what he does that they have to say the dumbest shit possible.
The depths of the conservative mind, man.
It's incredible.
It's insane, the two options you have.
Yeah, so to summarize this, Zohran Mamdani won over 50% of the vote, earning more than 1 million votes. And you might hear, well, only 50%. That doesn't sound like a mom date. That doesn't sound like the mom date of heaven. You know what I mean? One Mamdillion votes, but only 50%. What's going on here? It's a woke communist liberal city, and Eric Adams won like 66% of the vote back in 2021. So surely,
what's going on with that? Clearly, Eric Adams had a bigger mandate than he did.
Exactly,
to kill homeless people.
And this is, we're being a little, we're being a little bit silly about it. But one of the main arguments I've been seeing against Zohran Mamdani's election victory is that he only won 50% of the vote. Right? It's a lot of people trying to throw cold water on Zohran's victory and say that it's actually not that big of a deal and we shouldn't think about it beyond the purview of New York City. But there's a couple of things to consider. First of all, Zohran was running against two different people. one of which was Andrew Cuomo, who has infinite name recognition and was the governor before and was a Democrat 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So this immediately makes it less likely that he's going to get something like 70% of the vote because somebody like Andrew Cuomo's on the ballot. And even still, turnout was historically high in this race, and he won 50% of the vote, and he won 1 million votes, which is something that a candidate for mayor in New York has not done since like 1969.
Yeah, like 2 million people turned out to vote.
Yeah,
That's
it was
insane.
It was absolutely a historic turnout and a historic vote for Zohran Mamdani. And in addition to that, when you break down some of the exit polls, which, you know, maybe not completely reliable because it's just exit polling, but according to the data we have now, Zohran won something like 70% of the 18 to 29-year-old age bracket. And this is
huge.
This is precisely the group of people that Democrats have been flustered about how to win back. And Zohran won them bigly.
Yeah, wasn't it like young women were like the biggest like group that like turned out, which would make sense. Which would make sense. Like young women and young men turned out huge for Zohran, which like you can't turn out for Cuomo if you're young. That's the lamest possible thing you could do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just loser shit right there. But also like I feel like what people are ignoring, or maybe they're not ignoring it, maybe they're willfully like pushing it aside to fit their agenda, but it's like the difference between Zohran winning with only 50% of the vote and say like Spanberger or Sherrill winning like commanding victories in Virginia and New Jersey is that Zohran, it was basically a 2-Democrat race. Like, you like it or not, Cuomo had the full weight of the almost the full weight of the establishment and the billionaire class behind him. Zohran ran a grassroots campaign. Although Andrew Cuomo was not the Democratic nominee, he was still getting the support of Democrats.
Yeah.
Like, there's always like, there's like 30% of the people in each party who are just going to like support the establishment no matter what they do.
Yeah.
Republicans and Democrats. Like, that's just the fact of things.
Incumbency advantage is a thing.
Exactly.
Like it's a real observed thing. When somebody knows your name, when you were governor before, people are going to vote for you. That's just how it goes.
It's the fact that like it's an intra-party battle. This is literally a manifestation of the battle that the party's been having for the last year of the progressive wing versus the establishment wing. When Abigail Spanberger goes and beats Glenn Duncan over there in Virginia.
It wasn't him. She was running against somebody else.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. But either way, spiritually, Glenn Duncan.
Yeah. Fucking pumpkin successor.
Whoever the Republican is, like whatever. When Abigail Spanberger beats the Republican, or Mikey Sherrill beats the Republican in New Jersey, it's because they're running against Republicans. Zohran Mamdani was not running against Curtis Sliwa. And either way, Curtis Sliwa would not have had a chance to win that election. No Republican will win New York City. This is an inter-Democrat battle. You cannot compare the margin of victory between these two races. It's just not the same thing. These tell us fundamentally different things.
Yeah.
I think, spoiler alert for later, but Spanberger tells us that people are broadly rejecting Republicans and Trump writ large. Trump is unpopular. And Zohran tells us that people, at least in New York, are responsive to an aggressively progressive agenda. Like, that's the only way you can analyze this.
And I think the even more important point, and maybe the better measure for Zohran's popularity, is that a year ago, he was polling at 2%.
Yeah.
It was Andrew Cuomo's primary to lose. Everybody thought he was just going to be a shoo-in because he's the establishment guy and everybody knows who he is. Basically, nobody knew Zohran Mamdani a year ago. He went from that to a year later winning half of the votes, 1 million votes in the general election.
Yeah.
That is an incredible, extraordinary achievement. And anybody that would downplay it is purely doing it to go to bat for the establishment, which has been thoroughly defeated in this election.
And it's like downplaying the victory is what the Democrats have been doing this entire campaign. They have been downplaying his election every single step of the way. Again, Abigail Spanberger was campaigning against a conservative. Zohran Mamdani was campaigning against the Democratic establishment. Chuck Schumer did not endorse Zohran. Yeah. Right? He didn't do a last minute thing. He didn't
at any point. In fact, when people asked him on election day, who'd you vote for? He didn't tell anybody.
Exactly. And Hakeem Jeffries just went out there and did some flaccid endorsement.
3 days before the fucking election.
He's like, I'll vote for the Democrat. Like, come on, dude. Zohran was fighting under completely different circumstances.
Yes.
He was fighting completely different people than Abigail Spanberger. If Zohran was just fighting a conservative candidate, he'd have walked away with damn near 80% of the vote. Yeah. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I will note again that like he went from polling for 2% at 2% in the primary to outright winning a strict majority.
He was a nobody.
He was a nobody, and he did all of that. His come up happened in the context of billionaires working against him and his own party working against him after he won the fucking nomination.
Yeah.
Like it is as I said, an extraordinary achievement that people would only downplay to run defense for an establishment that is fucking flailing.
And it's like, speaking to billionaires working against Zohran, speaking of billionaires working against Zohran, per Forbes, at least 26 billionaires spent at least $27 million between March and October 22nd on groups campaigning against Mamdani. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg spent more than any other individual billionaire donor, $8.3 million, and made last-minute $5 million donations to anti-Mamdani groups in the days leading up to the election.
Yeah.
There is big money that was going against this guy, and he beat it by what? Knocking a million doors?
Mm-hmm. That wasn't just in the primary.
Exactly. It was literally the grassroots versus the billionaire corporate establishment class.
I mean, fucking Zohran was hosting like Coachella-style events.
Yes.
Like, what are we talking about?
Bro, did a bar crawl.
If you look at Zohran Mamdani's campaign and you don't recognize that what he did fundamentally was construct a coalition that will likely be sustainable into the future, I don't know what to tell you. And that's something that Democrats have been simply unable to do. The times Democrats have won elections in either 2022 midterms or Joe Biden's victory, they pieced together certain coalitions that immediately fell apart upon Democrats being unable to deliver.
Well, famously, the coalition that they pieced together and immediately fell apart was Obama's majority. Obama's like trifecta in the government. Yeah. There was a coalition there built on some like Democrats that frankly just were not Democrats. Those are the blue dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like
there were
the Southern
conservative
Democrats.
guys, yeah.
They were conservative guys that were running as Democrats so they could get the majority, and then they weren't able to do anything with it.
Same with Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema.
They had built a faulty coalition. Yeah. And I mean, shit, like, yes, I'd rather have Democrats than Republicans. I'd rather have people that caucus with Democrats than not. But that's like a worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping for Democrats that are together and strong and unified to do good things. That's why the ACA was so shitty. There were so many concessions because there were so many people, even within the party, that were not willing to like do other things.
Yeah. No, the public option got gutted by a Democrat, a guy who didn't want to vote for that because he got so much fucking money from the insurance industry and pharma. Like, it's like you said, I would prefer Democrats to be in charge than Republicans, right? In the order of things, I'd rather it be feckless Democrats and Republicans beneath them, right? But if we actually want to build a winning coalition, one that can sustain itself, one where we're not just constantly going back and forth between Democratic administrations and Republican administrations, we have to build a coalition that moves towards something, not one that merely prevents bad things from happening. And that's what we got in 2020, right? Mm-hmm. And I understand why people wanted a return to normalcy with Joe Biden. I wanted a return to normalcy because fucking Trump was killing a bunch of people with COVID.
Yes.
But the coalition that we got was one that was fundamentally unable to function in a way that would have sustained itself moving forward. And if you look at what Zohran has done and don't think that like, okay, this is the formula, maybe we can't replicate exactly what he did. Maybe we can't run socialists everywhere. But if you don't think this is the formula, then I don't know what to tell you, dog.
Yeah, no, there is clearly something that he did that got people out. I don't think it's a stretch to say when you have the highest turnout in 50 years in a New York City mayoral election, that Zohran himself actually like turned people out for this race. People came out to vote because of him. I had seen there were a whole bunch of, I think there was like record early voting. There were a whole bunch of just record set. There were a whole bunch of things that haven't happened in so long because people were excited to get out and vote for this guy.
Yeah.
And that's the fact of the matter. There's a model for turning out your base. And again, I am not sitting here and saying, run people on free bus every single place. There's not the infrastructure for that everywhere. There's not like the electorate for that.
It won't
everywhere.
be like if somebody ran on free bus in Detroit, it just wouldn't be a salient.
Exactly.
Everyone has a goddamn car.
Everyone has a car. There's not the infrastructure. There's not already bus there. And that's a bigger thing I think that's important when talking about Mamdani's win, when talking about his platform that liberals are just explicitly ignoring because it fits their agenda, is that what was like so radical about Mamdani's agenda isn't like actually that radical for New York City.
No.
The most radical thing, I guess, is like billionaire tax or raising tax on the wealthy, but that's something we want to do literally everywhere. He's taking advantage of things that already exist within the city, and the things that don't already exist, he's putting like plans for with doing things like raising taxes on the wealthy. Like government-owned grocery store is probably the thing that he's spawning out of nothing, but there's still infrastructure there for it. There's still an idea there for it. He still has a plan to do it. When he talks about fast and free busing, it's because New York already has a busing system. There are already things to work with. It's just about expanding, I guess, what's public about it.
Yeah, no, there's really nothing all that radical about Zohran's campaign if we're thinking like objectively. The only reason he seems radical is because he's not like, I'm going to give $9 trillion to the police.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's it, right?
Exactly.
And he wants to raise taxes 2%
yes.
on the richest people in New York City, which they absolutely can afford, which he said jokingly, they've been spending more against him than he would have actually taxed them.
Yeah.
It's absurd. Nothing about it's that radical except the grocery thing.
And I think it's so important to talk about because like we're having conversations with the abundance guys. We're having conversations with the third way guys, with the Welcome Fest guys about all these things about like we need to run candidates that are fit to where we're running them in. And I fundamentally agree. And I think that's why Zohran worked, because he was fit for New York City. He ran an agenda that was based on New York City. He fucking was New York City.
Yeah.
And he reaps the rewards for it. You just need to take things that work for your constituents. Clearly, he had a message that resonated with people. He turned out people. There was a record number of people that voted in this election.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that Cuomo was not turning out a record number of people by himself to lose.
Yeah, no.
That's just not anywhere. That's not a situation that's happening.
Yeah, no, I find it very difficult to stomach the people that are trying to downplay this victory as a way to downplay the sort of broader rise of the popularity of democratic socialism, populism, progressivism, whatever within the Democratic Party. It's just kind of scummy.
It is kind of scummy. And it's kind of silly.
We run this defense for Zohran. We explain why his victory is important, not to downplay the other major electoral victories, but to make the point that like, hey, this is a thing that can work. Because there were other major victories, like in Virginia, like in New Jersey, which we'll talk about, that are good, right? Like I'm glad the Democrats won in these races, but we shouldn't use the fact that they got, let's say, I don't know, an 8% victory, a 12% victory over the Republican opponent as a way to say that like, oh, Zohran's victory meant nothing. It's just silly.
Exactly, because they're two different circumstances. They truly just cannot be compared.
Yeah,
they cannot be compared. And I mean, if we're spoiler alert and talking about it, like talking about the Tuesday night elections, like broadly, when we see the wins in Virginia from what are pretty much like Virginia, New Jersey, from what are like corporate Democrats, and the win in New York with Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist, the big progressive guy, the new national figure. And if we're trying to like make conclusions from it, I am scared that Democrats are going to walk away with the conclusion that like the same old thing that they're doing works. Because I think it's fairly obvious that what happened Tuesday night is just a rebuke of Trump. I think it exposes more so how unpopular Trump is than how popular the Democrats are.
Yeah. And like, I think, I don't know the exact stats on this, but like, I'm pretty sure that this wave was beyond what anybody expected, right?
Yeah, they, especially in Virginia and New Jersey, they vastly overperformed polling.
Yeah, there's a sort of component to this look at election night that would suggest that Democrats won bigly in a way that wouldn't be historically anticipated. Because every single time there's an off-year election immediately after a presidential election, the president's party loses bigly. That's always how it goes. But it seems to be that this was bigger than what people expected. This was bigger than what the historical trends would have said. But there is some... I sort of share the same concern that Democrats will look at this and just think like, oh, we should let moderates run and be moderates, and we should not pay too much attention to the progressives.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's the lesson they're learning from this, and that sucks.
I think so. It sucks huge. It sucks bigly, as many things do right now, and I am incredibly scared that that's the lesson that they're going to take away. Because there's a path, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can see why somebody would stumble across that conclusion, but I say that's like devoid of like, I don't know how to phrase this, but like historical example. I think I've talked about many times on this podcast how I think whoever was president in 2020 was probably going to lose because of COVID, and whoever was president during Joe Biden's tenure was probably going to lose because of the COVID recovery and how shitty things were back then. A lot of voters just vote based on vibes, and I don't know why a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah. This mythical swing voter that Democrats, Democrat consultants talk about.
You know,
being
Republicans don't believe in these people.
Exactly. Republicans don't pretend to believe in a swing voter that they can win over, blah, blah, blah. These mythical swing voters that Democratic consultants love to talk about, they're not these principled people who are analyzing policy on different levels and voting and choosing who's going to be the best and trying to, I don't know, maximize whatever. They're people who are voting on vibes. There are people who say like, oh, fuck, my rent's too high right now, groceries are too high right now, egg prices are too high right now, so I'm going to vote for the other guy because I think that he's going to do better.
It's just inertia. That's all it is. It's just
exactly.
inertia.
It's inertia. And I think that's what we're seeing with these overwhelming victories in Virginia and New Jersey. I'm not saying that Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill are bad candidates. I don't know enough about the race. I don't know enough about their platform to talk about how corporate of Dems they are. I know they are corporate Dems, but it's like, I'm not trying to like draw the conclusion that what they did was solely because people don't like Trump. But I do think a lot of it is because they don't like Trump, because that's what we saw in 2020.
Yeah.
I don't really like Joe Biden won probably because people didn't like Trump.
Yeah,
a lot of what happened back then was because people didn't like Trump. And then people had 4 years without Trump, forgot, and thought, oh yeah, maybe that guy will do a good thing because the economy was a little better in 2016.
It's an anti-Trump wave, like, obviously, because everything he's been doing is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
In a state like Virginia, there's a bunch of federal employees that don't have jobs right now.
And we're in the middle of a shutdown right now.
So that also makes sense why there'd be big turnout in Virginia and it would be in favor of the Democrat. But also, these sort of like special elections or off-year elections tend to go pretty well for Democrats because Democrats perform better in low turnout environments nowadays.
Exactly. The people who are turning out in an off-year election, especially a non-midterm election, like smack dab the office year possible, are people who are the most politically engaged.
Yep.
Like, your average voter is not going out to vote right now. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. No. And like, again, I'm glad that the Democrats won in these races. I just want to make sure we have like a correct and accurate appraisal of what actually happened.
Yeah.
And the other thing with New Jersey and Mikey Sherrill, the thing that sort of confuses me about a lot of people saying like, look at her, she's a moderate and she won, therefore Zohran's victory doesn't really mean anything, is that one of her main policies was freezing utility bills.
That's so gas. That's so cool.
There are Zohran Mamdanis everywhere for those with eyes to see. Like, is that not just like a populist message formed around affordability? Same thing that Zohran did?
Yeah.
Obviously, she wasn't running as a Democratic socialist. Obviously, she's running for a statewide office rather than a mayor's race. But there seems to be important similarities that people are just glossing over because it fits their narrative that the progressives shouldn't have any power within the party.
See, big nuance injectors over here.
Oh, I love it,
most
dude.
people aren't.
Put it in my veins.
Politicians lie. People love just ignoring things to like fit their narrative. And I think that my narrative is the truth and I don't have to ignore things to get there.
So true.
You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes it just feels like all the news happens on Monday and Tuesday.
It's messed up.
But my favorite podcast drops episode on Wednesdays. I don't know what to do. It feels like they miss all of it.
That's a curse.
If only there was a platform that I could go to where I could listen to these episodes early, maybe when they record them. Do you have any thoughts?
Boy, do I have a solution for you.
Oh, do tell.
If you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod, you can listen to Head in the Office episodes before the curse of Monday and Tuesday news comes out.
Really? Do tell.
And you get access to commercial-free episodes. And everybody wants commercial-free episodes.
I bet there's also a whole host of other benefits and community engagement that they offer.
And friendship.
Very true.
Who doesn't want friendship?
The most important thing.
Absolutely.
In times like this.
Back to the episode. So that's the landscape of progressives versus the moderates.
Yeah, those are the conclusions we think you can draw and that you can't draw and that too many people are drawing.
But it's time to get to one of my favorite races of the night.
Yeah.
This is just phenomenal.
Honestly, to me, this overshadowed Mamdani's victory.
Oh my God,
because truly, when I logged in after polls had closed on the East Coast and I was looking at who won what, I saw the Mamdani thing. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of expected. That's dope. Like, I fuck with guy Mamdani rising. The mom date is here. And then I saw the news. Mm-hmm. I saw that Jay Jones won his race for AG in Virginia. Yeah. And I was baffled, dude. I like jaw on the floor. I damn near fell to my knees in my living room because how? Like, actually, how did this guy win with that scandal?
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't aware, Jay Jones, he was running for Attorney General in the state of Virginia. A couple of months ago, some texts leaked from him texting like another member of the GOP or member of the House of Delegates in Virginia or whatever. These texts were back from 2022, and he was essentially saying, like, I want to kill this guy, this Republican.
Yeah,
and he said
then leader of the House or something.
Yeah, and then he was saying some shit about, like, the kids need to suffer too. Like, it was genuinely insane.
Yeah, deranged.
Psychotic thing to say, something that should, for all intents and purposes, be campaign ending. And then he wins by like 8%.
What? like how? Like, I thought that was going to be completely disqualifying because it's like those texts were deranged.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like, those texts were absolutely insane. The person he was texting, one, was a Republican.
Yep.
When he was a Democrat. And he was then like a Virginia delegate, right? Mm-hmm. At the time of sending this text. He was talking about like how if I was in a room with Pol Pot and Hitler and ex-Republican, I would shoot the Republican twice. Yes. And then the person he was texting said, Jay, I don't like it when you talk like that. Please don't do that. And he doubled down. Like, how... brother, like, read the room.
And he was doing the edgy thing where he was like, well, I'm just testing your logic.
Exactly. like, read the fucking room. And then there were other texts where he's talking about, like, yeah, and their children die because that's the only way that these people will learn. It's like, whoa there, buddy. What are we doing?
Yeah, no, it was genuinely insane. Somehow this guy still wins. And the take here, and this is what the first Substack post was about, is like, political scandals just don't fucking matter anymore.
No, not at all.
You can just get away with anything. If Jay Jones can win, I know Graham Plattner is fucking geeked right now.
Well, because this whole thing, like, Jay Jones winning is a Graham Plattner upscale.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking about power scaling political candidates, the fact that this guy won with that scandal means that Graham Plattner's got a clear path to victory, even with the Nazi tattoo. But it's not there anymore. It's covered up.
It's covered. It's just like this shit just doesn't. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if a candidate has a scandal. And it's like we can obviously thank Donald Trump for this. He's like the source of why nobody has standards for politicians anymore. But I would be remiss if I didn't shout out Joe Biden.
Absolutely.
Like the Democratic Party lying to us for years about Joe Biden's mental capacities, and then Joe Biden and his administration constantly lying to us about our support, U.S. support for genocide in Gaza, is obviously going to make people start to think like, okay, maybe these politicians, like, it doesn't matter how many flaws they have. Yeah. We can just elect anybody. As long as they say they'll do these things, I'm going to vote for them. Doesn't matter how awful they've been in their personal lives.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so, like, I never thought we'd get to the place where those texts can still get you elected. Like, I was just going to shut up about the race because, like, obviously I didn't want a Republican to win AG, but I can't go out there and be like, oh yeah, this guy should win. Like,
of course,
crazy.
I wasn't going to go to bat for him,
but Virginia voters did.
And like, Republicans went so hard against this guy that their messaging got to me when I was on Roop Raj's show.
Exactly.
I had to answer for Jay Jones' text. And of course, as a dude in Michigan, I was like, yeah, sure, I don't care.
You said whatever the voters will decide. Fully thinking the voters would decide no.
It doesn't, like, I don't fucking care. But then they went so hard against this guy, and it just doesn't matter.
They spent 7 figures on ad buys talking about the scandal.
Like, and in fact, the person that leaked the texts lost her seat.
That's so funny,
like,
man.
What?
That's so crazy. American politics is a circus, dude.
Yeah.
I never would have been able to predict this to the extent that, like, I feel like a Democratic consultant the way I can't predict the way an election's going to go.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, man. And what's another, like, hilarious portion of this to me is that Jay Jones won Virginia with a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris did in 2024. Obviously,
awesome.
Obviously the turnout, like the type of voter that's turning out for a general election versus an off-year election is going to be different.
Way different.
But, like, still.
It's awesome.
Kamala Harris said she was going to put a Republican in her cabinet. Jay Jones said a Republican should be shot. Like,
yeah. He said he would shoot a Republican.
He said, yeah, like, come on, man.
I just, like, I don't know how to contend with any of this. Fucking Jay Jones winning his election. It's crazy,
well,
man.
It's just, voters do not care what a candidate has done in the past.
No.
If it's not something that a candidate is actively doing wrong, they do not give a shit. Whether it's Jay Jones' texts, Trump's civil liability for rape, his other felonies, all of the shit that Trump did. And I think it also extends to Cuomo.
Oh, yeah.
Bit. Like, Cuomo doesn't win like 40-something% of the vote. He doesn't even like have a chance at winning if voters actually principally care about the sexual harassment scandal.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that these people have chances of winning, or in some cases do win, like high office, an attorney general or the presidency, is just absolutely damning to the idea that the American voter has standards.
Well, like, the American voter doesn't have standards, but I do think that this trend or this development is the source of it is the political establishments, right?
Yeah.
It's the Republicans' embrace of Donald Trump. It's the Democrats' defense of dudes like Joe Biden. And it's the Democrats, the establishment's defense of people like Andrew Cuomo. Like, how can we expect voters to give a shit at all about somebody's background if the parties only care about scandals or flaws insofar as they can use them against their political opponents?
Yeah.
Because, like, that's what it is, right? Like, Republicans went really hard about these texts, but Donald Trump has done infinitely worse things and said infinitely worse things than what Jay Jones wrote down in those texts.
And voters have been conditioned to accept infinitely worse things and actual real material harm way before the Jay Jones scandal. Republicans have been building this environment for decades, and Jay Jones is a prime product of the political environment that conservatives have been building for that time frame.
Exactly.
Whether it be with like abhorrent and abysmal and materially harmful actual politics, or whether it be through the normalization and standardization of like edgelord rhetoric, which was what we saw in those texts. This is the environment conservatives have dedicated their time to building, and they lost because of it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I think another aspect of this, right, is that every election in modern, like in the last couple of years, is treated as an existential threat from both the left and the right, some of it more valid than not.
Yeah.
From the right, they think it's an existential threat because I don't know if Democrats win, they think they're going to do a white genocide or some bullshit.
Yeah.
And so they can justify voting in the worst, most vile people because of that, getting rid and ignoring character concerns no matter what. And then, like, from the left, they do the existential thing, too, but it's because they want, like, social services to stay around. Like, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But still, voters are conditioned to think that every election is the most consequential thing in the world, which, I mean, hey, here on this podcast, we believe that's kind of valid if you're a leftist or progressive or even a Democrat. But, like, if you think that, then you are liable to ignore character concerns, especially when you're in a culture where conservatives were railing against cancel culture for the last couple of years, and holding people accountable for the things that they said just does not matter.
No, it just like the voters like fundamentally don't give a shit because the parties have trained them to not care and to be able to look past all of these things when it comes to their own candidates or whatever candidates are running. And like I don't know, I find this to be a bad development.
I think so too.
Like
I
I wish that people cared, and I wish that the parties were a bit more selective when it came to like who they're willing to platform. But that's not the environment that we're in anymore.
Yeah.
And so when Jay Jones wins, it's like, well, what do you want? Like,
exactly. Like, what am I supposed to say other than figure out how we got to this point? And the way that we got here is like bad. Like, it just sucks all the way through because we can have a Democrat AG who got caught in the kill conservative scandal. We have a president who was found civilly liable for rape.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it all sucks so bad. We shouldn't be at this place. American politics should not have devolved to get us here.
But like JD Vance a few weeks ago was downplaying the Nazi group chat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but
Which
like
directly set this up.
Nobody has standards.
Yeah.
Like literally nobody cares about anything anymore. And I know Graham Plattner's geeked about it.
Oh, he's up a million so hard right now. Because like that was my Plattner concern.
Yeah.
Like I believe the guy's story. I believe he didn't mean to get the tattoo. He got it covered up now. I believe that he was just a regular dude on Reddit before, as much as being a regular dude kind of sucks. And so like it's fine, and he seems like he made the change. He's a progressive guy now. But I thought there would be electability concerns. I really did. I thought it was going to be hard to elect the guy who had a Nazi tattoo. But like explaining, if I'm a Republican, right, and I have to explain to a voter that this guy had a Nazi tattoo that the voter I'm talking to doesn't know is a Nazi tattoo, and already get past that barrier and try and message that to him and talk about how the Democrats are Nazis and he's a socialist of the national variety and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at Jay Jones's win. Telling a voter Jay Jones said Republicans should get shot and their children should die and that'd be a good thing, way easier than communicating the Nazi tattoo thing to a voter. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I guess Plattner's just here to stay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it helps when a guy like Plattner is just nonstop talking about like affordability. Susan Collins fucking sucks, right? Yes. Like he's a very on message guy. So like that, it's just a slam dunk for him at this point. I guess we'll see what happens, right? There's like some other concerns around Plattner, like the turnover with his staff and stuff like that. Maybe that'll affect him long term. I don't know. But Jesus Christ, man, like we can't expect anybody to give a shit when we've been telling voters for years on both sides of the aisle that they need to look past the flaws of the candidates that we're giving to them.
Exactly. You need to look past the flaws, whether they're policy or character, because we just need to put butts in seats.
I mean, there was 3 weeks between the debate and when Joe Biden dropped out, where the party was literally trying to convince everybody that they need to shut the fuck up and vote for Joe Biden, and that he actually, what you saw on the debate stage was just a fluke, and he's actually capable of running this campaign and beating Donald Trump.
And now voters are doing that, and everyone's up in arms about it.
You lied to us for weeks about that, and put aside like the Gaza thing, which I think is totally disqualifying anyways, but like just on the age concerns, they'd been directly lying to people nonstop. Kamala Harris knew that and said nothing about it. And you expect anybody to like take serious the concerns that somebody have about like the concerns that the establishment has about Graham Plattner? Like, be for real.
When our politicians don't have principles, the voters won't have principles. Like, that's just kind of where it is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is an indictment on anybody individually. It's just kind of an indictment on the entire system that a guy like that can get elected. Like, fuck, man. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is like the Donald Trump effect, right? Like, that dude is just so unqualified in so many different ways. And he still got elected and he's still a platform. He is the Republican Party now. And it seems like everybody's just fucking following his lead.
It's like the Trump effect twofold, because like you said, like he's got blatant character concerns in so many different ways. He's got a checkered past, to say the least, considering his best friend and the news about that's being held up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that voters have been kitchen because of that. And so there's already that level of Trump has like raised the bar for what is acceptable when you're running for office. And there's also the other side of it where Trump sucks so bad right now and his agenda is so just blatantly awful and evil that people are going to vote for whoever the Democrat is just cause.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a double whammy, and that's how you get Jay Jones.
The bar is incredibly low. Yeah, I do like Jay Jones can easily win, and I think that's hilarious, dude.
It like kind of is. It's like kind of funny in the fucked up way.
Yeah, that's crazy. So aside from Jay Jones, my favorite race of the night, we do have some unfortunate news.
Yeah.
Not every progressive candidate managed to win. Omar Fateh specifically did not pull off the victory. It was a pretty long shot campaign. He got screwed over by the Democrats, like the party establishment, in a number of ways, but he was not able to eke this one out. I think it was like a 6-point difference or something like that after ranked choice voting finished. Again, I think it just speaks to the fact that what Zohran did was pretty exceptional. And it just reminds us as progressives, as leftists, that even if somebody gets out there and has the right message and campaigns hard, sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah,
and you really do got to keep your foot on the gas, and you really do have to be careful about how you run these elections.
I think Minneapolis is interesting, especially when compared to New York, because I mean, like, the part of like figuring out what happened in New York and the Mamdani mandate and like what's going on with that is because his opponent was so uniquely awful. Like I do think that it's a factor. As much as voters don't care about scandals anymore, I do think how bad Cuomo was a factor boosting up Mamdani. Whether it be because people just didn't want to turn out for either of them or because people actually switched, I don't know. I don't think we can make that conclusion. But I think in Minneapolis too, like Omar Fateh was going against a guy where it's like, I feel like when we're talking about affordability, the biggest thing is housing right now. And Jacob Frey has expanded housing in Minneapolis, and they're seeing rents deflate over the last couple of years either way.
Yeah.
So it's like you're running up against
Jacob
a guy.
Frey was not an Eric Adams.
He was not Eric Adams, exactly. Yeah. You're going up against a guy who actually has like delivered materially. It's harder to get that message across when you're being so viciously smeared. Yeah. And you're being so viciously smeared as this like evil socialist, progressive, blah, 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 whatever. Somalian. Yeah. That was the other like attack.
He's loyal to Somalia, not Minneapolis.
So I think it was definitely a harder hill to climb for him, both because materially things were being like pressure was eased off of voters and because of just also racism.
Yeah. Yeah. Overcoming the establishment, of course, is still very difficult.
That part too.
And it's not something that's just going to happen just because you have the right message. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, and I mean, while we're talking about this and bringing up Zohran again, I think like another part to consider about like that race and like what it means going forward is that winning the mayor's office was the easy part.
Yeah,
I think the hardest part of what's going to happen over the next like New York mayor's 4 years, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is going to be like actually implementing his agenda, because not only is he going to be under a microscope from literally everybody, he's going to be under a microscope from Republicans, he's going to be under a microscope from establishment Democrats, and he's even going to be under a microscope from progressive who thinks he's not going far enough. He's going to have that going at him. He's going to face scrutiny at every single turn. He's also going to face just people not wanting to cooperate with him.
Yeah.
He's going to have to battle against people who do not want his agenda to be in place.
Like the NYPD specifically.
Yeah, he is fighting a massive uphill battle. And whether or not he delivers or doesn't is going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to figure out why, but that's going to be the hard part of all this. And whether or not he can pull it off is going to be like profoundly important for whatever like the progressive project is moving forward.
Yeah, like it's and that's always how it's going to be for progressives. Like the entire system is geared to preventing people like Zohran Mamdani from rising to power.
Yeah.
All of the money that was spent against him, all the ways in which the establishment allied against him, the number of people, like you said, that will work against him now that he's actually mayor. The entire system is set up so this guy will fail.
Yeah.
But the one thing that he has going for him is that he built a massive coalition. He won 1 MAMDILLION votes, and he can push his weight around, right? Yeah. Like Donald Trump, when he won by 1.5% in the popular vote, he's been saying since then that he has the mandate of heaven to do literally whatever he wants. No judge should stand in his way. Congress shouldn't stand in his way because he won by 1.5%. A landslide victory to his mind, apparently. Mamdani won 1 million votes, and every time somebody stands in his way, he should say, 1 million New Yorkers stood behind me and
Yeah.
they said free bus, so give us free bus.
Yeah.
You are standing in the way of what New Yorkers want. And on top of that, of course, is going to come assembling a good team that can work alongside him, pushing for city council to be, for new city council people to come in that will actually work to implement his agenda. It's going to be pushing back against Kathy Hochul, who has a lot of power as governor, to stop him from implementing things in New York City. It's going to be an uphill battle, like you say, but I think he should really use the mandate of heaven that he has to get whatever he wants done.
And I mean, shit, talk about putting together a good team. Do you see who you pointed to as
Lena
transition?
Khan,
Lena Khan. Lena, I don't even know. Just Lena Khan. I feel like the name carries enough weight itself.
Oh my
Just
God,
GOAT.
dude. Fuck it.
The GOAT.
Genghis Khan, dude. She's gonna build an empire in New York
Absolutely
City.
running through these corporations.
You know,
dude.
that's awesome.
No,
That's
it's
really
so sick. And I feel like that is good news.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Lena Khan wasn't just popular with progressives. She was kind of generally popular because, oh, surprise, surprise, she did cool things.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz famously was like, Lena Khan's awesome.
Yeah,
and he's a freak.
It seems like people don't like it when corporations can just do whatever they want to and push you around and take all the money out of your wallet. Yeah. And when you do something as simple as a click to cancel rule, you're pretty cool.
Yeah,
and people
even
like
though
you.
that got overturned.
Yeah, even though Trump said no. Yeah, whatever happened with that.
Lena Khan was loved pretty much across the spectrum, and she was reviled by the wealthy, which is exactly what you need.
Exactly, and that's pretty cool, and I like that.
That's
I like
exactly
that. I
what
think
you
it's
need.
cool. I think there was also some other like more niche races because a narrative that emerged post-election night was that like Democrats won in Democrat places. This isn't anything to be concerned about. This isn't anything big. This should have been expected. Ignoring the fact that New Jersey and Virginia were supposed to be toss-ups.
Glenn Pumpkin was the governor in Virginia before.
Exactly. So there was all that. Conservatives were trying to cope with that, but it just wasn't the case. Like, once again, like Democrats like won in more niche races that nobody was paying attention to as well. Democrats broke the conservative supermajority in the Mississippi State Senate.
In Mississippi, dog.
Democrats won in Mississippi. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on? I feel like that in of itself kind of flies into the face of the idea that what Trump is doing is popular. It's Mississippi.
Yeah. Also in Virginia, Spanberger won, of course. Jay Jones. Shout out. Also one, of course.
Spanberger, Jay Jones.
But then I believe in Virginia, Democrats secured a supermajority.
Yeah,
In
Democrats
their
like
delegation.
either secured a supermajority or just advanced their own majority in the Virginia delegation.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. They flipped like red seats in Virginia.
They better turn
popped
Virginia
off.
into a fucking paradise, dude.
And they also flipped 2 seats on the Georgia Public Service Commission, which regulates Georgia's major utilities, including Georgia Power, and its decisions directly impact residential energy bills, which, like, that's cool in the sense that, like, this directly has an effect on people's lives and whatnot, but it's a small office. Why is this important? It's important because this was the first time the Democratic Party has won a statewide constitutional office in Georgia since 2006.
That's crazy.
Like, Blorgia on the rise.
Big on Blorgia. Good news for John Ossoff next year.
Yes.
Huge news for John Ossoff next year, man. No, that's
Blorgia,
good.
fucking soon to be Blississippi, baby. Come on.
We're taking back the South.
We're
the
taking
South
back
will rise again. But like Wokley, you know what I mean?
But like Wokley, huge on but Wokley.
Yeah. Aside from some candidates, though, there were some major ballot proposals that passed around the country. Most notably, California's Prop 50 passed overwhelmingly.
Yes.
This was the amendment to their constitution that would allow them to basically counteract the gerrymander from Texas. Big win for Gavin Newsom.
So dope that he got everybody to vote for gerrymandering.
Yeah, no, and it was like it was like 65%.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
I mean, major blow to Republicans and Trump. Who knows if it'll be enough to like hang on to any kind of majority?
Well,
At least
like,
we're counteracting Texas, but it's a huge win.
I was gonna say, it like kind of sucks though that he just didn't go all the way. Like, it kind of sucks that he didn't just say, okay, we're just completely gerrymandering the hell out of this. Instead of, isn't it worded to just
It's tied to
offset
Texas.
Texas's gains? Yeah,
It's
that kind
tied
of
to
sucks.
Texas.
But
Yeah, no, it's not as good as it could be, but I think he was probably trying to play it in a way that was like, we just have to do this, not we're going to try to maximize with opportunism here.
like, I get it.
Yeah.
It just like sucks.
But yeah, given that it passed, like, could we have
That's a
gotten
banger.
more?
Yeah,
Could we have gotten more?
Precisely. Like, I think Gavin Newsom could have put on the ballot no conservative representation, and considering
the
this
Republican
margin,
Party is illegal in California.
considering this margin, he might have won.
Yeah, so big win for Gavin Newsom. You hate to see him get clouded, but I'm glad this proposition passed. Colorado also passed Prop MM, which raises taxes to fund school meals. Huge.
Huge. No, that's dope. That's basically kind of like what Invest in My Kids Kids is here in Michigan, except this time it's raising taxes on everybody who makes over $300,000.
Yeah.
Invest in My Kids only raises taxes on people who make over $500,000 as individuals and $1 million as households.
The way they did it in Colorado, though, I found interesting because it wasn't like, because in Michigan we're trying to raise a 5% tax on certain households, right? Those numbers that you listed. In Colorado, they basically wiped out the deduction that you're allowed to claim.
Oh, really?
In the state, it went from like $14,000 to $1,000 if you make over $300,000.
Oh,
that's
cool.
how they're recuperating all of that money.
Oh,
so it is raising a tax because you're getting rid of a deduction, right? It's kind of a screwy way to do it.
It's like worded to not raise a tax.
Yeah.
So I imagine they probably got some, I guess, positive PR on that one.
But yeah, they just annihilated a deduction, which is like, I mean, shit, if it works.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, no, it's estimated to raise, I think like $90 million or something like that.
All to feed kids.
That might be low. I can't remember the exact
Brekkie
number I saw,
lunch.
but another interesting one is Maine's question 1 was defeated, and it would have severely restricted absentee voting. This was just a blatant anti-voter measure, and it lost bigly.
That's nice. That's nice. I did see in Texas they had like a host of like measures or whatever that they were voting on, and one of them was to make it illegal for non-citizens to vote.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah, in Texas, the two of them passed. There was 2 ballot questions, and the first one was like about parents' rights. And
oh, God. That was probably like trans kids are illegal or some shit.
When it wasn't even that. It was just like a parent has the right to make like all decisions about a kid forever.
Oh, it was just a virtue signal.
Yeah, it was
cool.
Well, and that's what the citizen voting one was.
No, exactly.
It was like only citizens can vote. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, guys, murder is illegal. let's put in the Texas Constitution that murder is illegal.
Yeah, Democratic states out here passing like meaningful proposals, and the Texas electorate is passing shit that doesn't matter.
Patting themselves on the back for it.
Yeah.
And then like all the idiots on Twitter are like, yeah, Texas just did a great thing. Brother, it's illegal everywhere.
Yeah.
And once again, not to go back to shitting on the Democrats mode, but I always got to do it. And not to go back into Democrats are responsible for the rhetoric we're seeing about illegal immigration, but it's something that's true and that people need to know. Like, we don't get to the point where people think it's a win that Texas passed a ballot measure saying that non-citizens can't vote without Democrats capitulating on immigration. That's a crazy place to be at.
Yeah.
Why do people think that non-citizens are voting in like major elections? Why do people actually think that Democrats are importing voters from Mexico to vote for them?
It's not true. It's never been true. And it just fuels racial animosity and anxiety.
And we get to the point where people can say, Mamdani won in New York, welcome back 9/11. Because of that.
Or people were saying that Mamdani won New York because New York isn't full of Americans anymore.
Oh, God.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
That's crazy.
If they voted, they're American.
Yeah.
Like, what are we? They're citizens. They had to have been citizens. New York has always been full of immigrants. It's a city of immigrants. It always has been. What are we talking about?
Insane, dude.
Of course,
Absolutely
all they mean is that the city's not white anymore.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it was never totally white anyways. But that's the point.
It's always been a city of immigrants.
Yeah. I mean, that's like what it is.
Yeah. What's that thing on the Statue of Liberty? Give me you're tired, you're something.
You're poor, you're huddled masses. You're needing to breathe free, brother. But that was written by a Jewish woman.
I was going to say, that was like one of our first tweets that popped off wrongly on conservative Twitter, and all the replies were filled with, did you know that was written by a Jew? What the fuck? Like, what do you know? I didn't know that because I'm not a fucking loser.
Yeah, let me look up the ethnicity of this author before I quote them. What are we talking about?
It's just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So overall, an overwhelming Democratic victory. We've already sort of talked about lessons that we think the party can and cannot draw from this election. But I do have a couple other major takeaways. One's from Trump.
Yeah.
Trump seems a little worried. But the other is, and this is something we've been talking about for the entire lifetime of this podcast.
Yes.
If there's any message that can be gained from this past election cycle, talk about affordability.
Please talk about affordability.
And it's not talking about affordability in the purview of just like, hey, prices are too high, because every candidate, a part of the Democrats and Republicans, does that every single election cycle. There's not a single candidate that doesn't talk about the economy, right? Yes. You have to talk about affordability in a simple way with simple solutions, in a way that assigns blame to your political enemies. Yeah. It's what Zohran Mamdani did. Mikey Sherrill, as we said that she was going to freeze the utility bills. It is simple proposals, populist proposals that get people energized and get people out to vote for your political program. That's what Democrats need to do moving forward. We have been begging them to do this for absolutely years, and I can only imagine that they're going to twist this in such a way to again start talking about, like, if your income is below 7% of this threshold, then maybe we'll fiddle with the knob. Yep. Yeah. You need to stop doing that and just say freeze rent. Like, that's all you got to do. People fuck with that.
Yeah, it's populist messaging, right? And like I said earlier in the episode, like I am so scared that they're going to take away that they can just ride on the coattails of not being Trump rather than actually like building a coalition. And that's what you mentioned earlier. And I wanted to expand on it then, but I figured I'd wait till we were actually talking about bigger takeaways. We were talking about coalitions of the past that Democrats have built just because they needed butts in seats and that immediately fell apart and caused them to get nothing done. And that's what you will build if you take away the wrong lesson from these elections, right? If you take away the lesson that blah, 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 Mamdani can only win because New York City, we need to run moderates, moderates here, moderate there, moderate everywhere type thing. You're going to build a coalition once again that can do nothing, change nothing for people, and just return to the status quo that people hate, allowing another Trump to come in. You need to look at this race and you need to take the opportunity of the anti-Trump wave to put forward candidates that can offer a positive vision for the future. And that's what we've been talking about for the life of this podcast, is that you need a positive vision for the future. What was Obama Hope and Change? That's it. That's what you need to do. You can build a coalition off that if that becomes what you want to be as a party, and if you as a party begin to have standards when it comes to that. But if you're just running moderate here, moderate there, moderate everywhere, you're not going to get that. If you're settling for Joe Manchin just because like you think that's the only way to win West Virginia, we're not going to be able to get anything done. We're not going to be able to get a lot of what the base wants done. You'll be able to get some things here and there, but it's not going to be. It'll be a repeat of Joe Biden's presidency that a lot of people weren't satisfied with.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people, Ezra Klein types, essentially making that point that like we wouldn't have had a Senate majority, we wouldn't have had a trifecta without Joe Manchin. And I think a lot of them are saying this shit now because Joe Manchin's book, fucking like Dead Center or whatever.
Oh my God, Joe Manchin's writing a book?
I think it just came out. Or is about to come out or something like that.
Hold on a minute.
Anyways, Joe Manchin, people have been saying that like we wouldn't have had the trifecta without Joe Manchin. Him being a Democrat in West Virginia was like a remarkable thing because now it's a Republican. We'd rather have a Democrat than a Republican. But it's like, it's as you say, like what point is the coalition if, 4 years after the coalition comes together, it's completely fallen apart.
Yeah.
And all of its achievements are being actively dismantled in front of us.
Like you get a Joe Manchin in office and you do just get to fiddle with the knobs, kind of, but you don't even get to fiddle with the knobs that people care about. Joe Manchin killed $15 minimum wage.
Yeah, well, and he killed a whole lot of other things too.
Yeah.
And one way in which we can measure success in politics is longevity, right? We look at something like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. These are programs that have lasted for decades because there was political momentum behind them. And now it's essentially political suicide to touch any of them. Republicans are trying with Medicaid, and they might succeed with Medicaid, but it's looking like they're about to get annihilated next year.
It's like you need a coalition, or you need a movement, not just a coalition. And I think that's ultimately what Mamdani brings us towards. I don't think Mamdani is a movement. Once again, it's just New York City. I get that New York City is unique. You can do things there that you can't do in Alabama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But there's hope there.
Yeah, but
there's something pointing us forward.
The thing is that the movement can't come together if there are so many moderates within it that are just dedicated to protecting the donors.
Yeah.
If that's like the first thing that they do when they get into office, because the movement fundamentally is against the donor class. Because that's the only way we can organize around a political program is if we push for policies that necessarily require us to reorganize power and reorganize resources in society. And that's going to look like things like taxing the rich and going after them for all of their abuses. And a lot of moderate Democrats just are not capable or are not willing to do that.
And that's the failure of the party. Like that's why people hate you guys. That's why your brand is in the shitter, unless Trump is in office and doing the most vile and evil things that people have seen in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Like that's why you won. Like that's why you won Virginia by a commanding margin.
Like we need a sort of like FDR style invitation for the wealthy to hate the Democratic Party, right?
Yeah.
When he won the nomination, I think in like 1930 or somewhere around there, he had this line that people have been bringing up recently in reference to Zohran Mamdani, where FDR essentially said like, the forces of capital say they hate me, I invite their hatred. That's what we need.
Yeah.
You need to pit yourself. You need to pick a fight and pit yourself against an enemy that is easily identifiable to the population, and you can easily blame for the vast majority of their problems. And that's sort of what Zohran's doing. Again, he didn't run that radical of a campaign. He wasn't like waging war on the wealthy.
It was a campaign that was tailored to the place that he was running in. This is what Democrats have been talking about. But when it just so happens to be tailored to a constituency that has a proclivity to not like the 1%, then Democrats get a big problem with it. When it's a campaign tailored towards a constituency and we have to run a pro-life Democrat, that's totally fine and cool in Ezra Klein's eyes. But as soon as it's a constituency that wants to tax the rich 2%, that's when we start to have problems. I think that reveals a bigger problem with the party and the people running it and the people who have mouthpieces in it than with, I don't know, voters or how we do politics in of itself.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's also silly.
Yeah, again, politics in a lot of ways is just about inertia. And if we actually want to build a coalition that can get things done, that can establish policies that last a long time, that provide us with a coalition that can last beyond, 4 years or whatever, then we have to come together around a certain set of policies and a certain ideology that pushes the movement forward. Yeah. And that I just don't think it's possible if we are going to center the feelings of people that desperately want to protect corporations and the people that fund their campaigns. I don't see how it can work at this point.
It's like, it is really always a hard conversation when you're talking about like, oh, is it better to have Joe Manchin or a Republican? And it's like, I would argue
my
that it's
take is like, what difference did it make?
Exactly. It didn't make that much of a difference other than just like having a trifecta. But now that we have that trifecta, we're going to look back in 8 years and people are going to be like, Joe Biden did nothing with his trifecta. And it's like, yeah, well, it's because of Joe Manchin and blah, blah. You're going to have to add these caveats just like you had to add to the, I think, Blue Dogs in Obama's term. Like, it's not a real trifecta. It's not a real party that can like do anything. It's a party that's fighting with itself and also the Republicans rather than coming on a unified front and actually like doing things. But it's like, I would add to the Joe Manchin conversation is like, good things are good, bad things are bad, and okay things are just like okay. Like,
so real. Add a third line in there, baby.
Third line, and it's really tiny in the middle. Okay, things are okay.
Like, I mean, but even like the ACA, as like lackluster as it was, had some longevity to the extent that like it's lasted until now, right?
Well, because it is popular when it's not Obamacare.
Because it's popular. Well, it's popular when it's not Obamacare, and like there's a number of things that it does that are just like absolutely necessary.
Yes.
That like the vast majority of people can actually get behind. But even that is being dismantled right now, and it's because the left has utterly failed to come together around an agenda of advocating for the working class against the interests of the billionaires that are exploiting everybody else.
And when we have these coalitions that immediately fall apart, we can only do the things that are most immediately necessary, and that's not getting anybody anywhere. Nobody wants to live their life just treading water. People want to get to shore. Like, people want to be able to like actually thrive a little bit. When we get guys like Joe Manchin in the coalition and we rely on them to vote for things, we can only do the thing that is clearly and obviously and presently awful, and sometimes we can't even get that. Like $15 minimum wage. Like, oh my god, that was so necessary at the time that was being proposed and the time that was viable.
Child tax credit went away.
Child tax credit went away. So many of these good things went away because of him. So many of these damn near absolutely necessary things went away, and people had to just continue to tread water. They don't want that. They don't want to return to the status quo. Nobody should have to return to that status quo. We need a vision for the future and politicians that want to come together to do that. And you get that by building movements from the ground up, doing the grassroots thing, knocking a million doors, knocking a MAMDILLION doors.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I don't know. There were some good things that Joe Biden managed to accomplish, right? The Inflation Reduction Act wasn't like a dog shit piece of legislation. Of
course.
There's a number of other like pieces of like the PAC Act.
We were radical Bidenists until Gaza.
Yeah, like there's a number of other good things that the Biden administration managed to pass. But the thing about those is, one, they were often severely watered down by people like Joe Manchin. Two, a lot of the money hadn't paid out by the end of the Biden administration. And three, it's being actively dismantled right now. Exactly. And four, Joe Biden's the oldest guy alive and couldn't message on any of it.
And it's like a lot of the good things that Joe Biden brought, as we talked about during the election cycle, were things he brought because of people he appointed to things like the NLRB. And like you said, they're just being taken away. Those kind of changes are fickle.
Yeah.
Like, those kind of changes change with administrations and blah, 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 and new policies. Legislative change, while still fickle at times, is what has longevity, is what has the possibility to actually be more and mean more to people.
Yeah.
Because it's where you can actually get things done.
Yeah, no, we need like a New Deal style coalition to come together. One that's like not racist. Importantly.
Where the New Deal built their coalition kind of on racism at times as like political blah, 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 whatever. We can build that on I don't like billionaire.
And I don't like billionaire, and I don't like Republican.
The wine mom.
The J. Jones coalition.
I can't believe you won. You should not have been able to win. Oh my God.
So that's the takeaway for the left, right? I do want to end though this podcast on Trump's takeaway. We haven't really talked about him that much this episode. But in a lot of ways, this election loss for Republicans is just an election loss for Trump. And I think Trump recognized that. and he immediately tried to distance himself from these results.
Nice.
He posted on Truth Social, I think on election night or maybe the next day, quote, Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight, according to pollsters.
That's so sick. He's saying the shutdown, his fault, is why we lost the election. Like, I'm sorry, but if you are going out there and saying the shutdown is why you lost the elections, like, you could literally open the government up right now.
Yeah.
Like, if Democrats got out there and said the shutdown is why, like, you can literally just cede. You can concede. Yeah. You can say, we're going to restore the ACA subsidies and open the government back up, and then you're fine.
Well, and no, his solution to opening the government back up is to get rid of the filibuster. He's been consistent on this. He keeps saying it. He really wants to get rid of the filibuster.
Well, I've been seeing more and more on Twitter, like what we talked about on the last episode, how more conservatives are being like, as soon as Democrats take power, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. Not my Democrats. not these Democrats.
Not these Democrats, dude. In fact, that's what we said about you guys.
Exactly.
That's what I said about you guys. And it seems like I might have been right. Depends where we're going to go.
Yeah, I was cooking when I said that. You're not.
Yeah. Yeah, Democrats are going to weapon. It's the same way they talk about like weaponized Justice Department. Like, Merrick Garland.
Absolutely. No.
No, but
my Democrats would never.
I think it's a good sign that Trump is looking at these election results and reflexively running away from them.
Yeah.
I think that says good things for Democrats. I think that says good things for the political environment we find ourselves in. I know Trump can't ever admit defeat. He thinks he's the only brain in the vat. The universe doesn't exist outside of him, and he can't do anything wrong. Otherwise, his entire world will crumble.
Yeah, that's true for me.
So I think it's a very good sign that he feels the need to push back against these results. And I think also the fact that voters felt that voting against Republicans here, voting for Democrats, giving Jay Jones a position of power was going to stick it to Trump is a really bad sign for them in the midterms. Because Mike Johnson is still saying things like Trump is on the ballot in 2026 because if we lose the House, if we lose the Senate, then Trump's agenda is basically over.
And it's like that's the Republican Party is living by the sword and dying by the sword. Like they live on Trump and they die by Trump. Like they are wholly tied to Trump. And it's going to be crazy to see what happens in 2028 or even 2026 when they lose. Because while I think Jay Jones winning is a Plattner upscale, I think Democrats having a blue wave here is just a midterm upscale for them. Like, I do have a lot more confidence in our ability to win some of the contentious seats that we're up against, and the Senate map doesn't look good for us.
Yeah.
I don't even think the House map looks good for us. Like, things
given the gerrymanders, yeah.
Exactly. Like, things look really shaky right now, but I have a lot more hope seeing that, like, polling got it wrong. And once again, polling got it wrong. Polling is the devil. Polling has no idea how to do anything under Trump because everything is so, like, reactionary and vibes based.
Yeah, no, nobody. It's just like no amount of like weighting or standardizing in these polls can account for anything that's happening right now.
Exactly.
And how can the polls account for Jay Jones?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know what the polling was. I don't even know if there was polling in that race. But like Jay Jones winning just defies all logic, man.
Yeah.
And I guess
that's the big takeaway.
That is the big take. That is just my favorite race of all time, maybe. It's so awesome.
That's going to go down as one of the elections of all time, let me tell you.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of this glorious episode.
It does.
That's election watch, folks.
That's election watch. Make sure if you want more of election watch, like a little eensy-weensy bit more, a bit shareable, maybe a bit read in 6 or 10 minutes-able, 6 or 7 minutes-able, go over to Substack and check out the newest article that we published on our new Substack.
1 MAMDILLION votes.
1 MAMDILLION votes. I need 1 MAMDILLION restacks and subscribers on that platform now.
Man, if this Substack thing works out, we might just become book reviewers and Substack writers instead of podcasters.
Man, speaking of book reviewers, I've been seeing a lot about Independent.
Oh man,
I've been seeing a lot about Korean Shop,
and it's short
book, and it's only like it's less than 200 pages. Do you guys want to see that? Like, do you guys want to see us review Independent? Because I will if there's a clamoring for it. I will. Like, I feel like I'd get a kick out of it. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as 107 Days.
But the amount of people that are just like absolutely dogging on it, makes me think that it makes me feel like I'm missing out.
Like everybody loved 107 Days. The libs loved it, but I don't see anyone like this book.
Yeah, who is this for?
I don't know.
This is for like the people who had an issue with Jake Tapper's book.
Well, this is for oh god, what was that guy? The Biden accomplishments guy on Twitter. Like that's who this book was written for.
My primary vote mattered.
So if you guys want to see it, please sound off in the comments and let us know, because we might do it. I am personally tempted maybe to at least pick it up and see what's going on.
And hell, maybe that review will be translated into a Substack.
Oh,
who knows?
Oh,
my creative mind is churning out ideas.
Exactly. Big book reviewers over here. And shit, Joe Manchin really dropped a book dead center. That's so
I think
sick.
so. I watched his appearance on Jon Stewart, and he was talking about that book. And I can't tell if Joe Manchin is just like a doddering old man at this point, or if he's just evil. But like the amount of times that this dude just got out here and was like, well, back when I was, 10 years old or whatever, I learned you had to work hard, and that's why I gave credence to welfare queen myths. It's like, come on, man, what are we doing?
And that's why I signed over like my portion of the oil mine or coal refinery or whatever evil thing I owned to my brother while I was a senator and offered favorable legislation. Working hard is when you have a family relative in Congress who can write favorable legislation for you.
Well, of course.
Precisely. Come on now, guys. You worked hard to get there.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode. Enjoy the victory while we can, folks.
Yeah, because I'm sure next week we're going to have just evil news. I already saw this week there was things with Snap. Like USDA was supposed to pay out on Wednesday. USDA is saying, guys, no, we're going to pay out. We're like trying really hard. And Trump said, no Snap till shutdown's over. And it's like, you can't, the court order said, which I feel silly. Like, once again, I feel silly.
Have you read this court order?
But this,
have you read this strong opinion?
But this is a time for winning. So more on that later, I suppose. Right now, I got to give a special thanks to some big winners, some big personal winners, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Chaplinsky, Clayton the Fed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Big Burrito, Cincy Elks, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cut, Jennifer DeVoe, Croft Vision, Benneth Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Days, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundam, Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Ghana, Guana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Anna Valinic, KCC, Sayas to West, August, Particular Pikmin, Sir Capelot, Jeff Sines, Brenda's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000,
Chris T, Kishan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon Memfrez, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Four, Lauren, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, Cryobanki, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sahas, Majawat, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark 61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Mark Buffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, CIA Small Creators Fund, Taylor from Burnt Down Minneapolis, Northeast Nick, Aya, Retired AF and SC, YK Coolin, Wolford G, and my mom. Thank you all so much.
Oh, there was somebody else that DM'd us on Instagram about us forgetting to say them on Patreon. Shout out Gayest Worm.
So true.
I gotta add you to the list right now that I remembered we got that DM. Shout out Gayest Worm.
Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon. Please check out the Substack. And I will say, just before we leave, little post-credit scene.
Little post-credit scene?
I meant to include this back in the tweets that we were reading off at the very beginning. But for those of you that stayed to the very end, here's a little treat for you.
Oh, nice.
One final tweet to read. This is from Bill Mitchell.
Okay.
This is just about the elections generally. He said, if it wasn't for big cities, Democrats would never win anything.
If it wasn't for all these people, if it wasn't for this population, Democrat, that's like, obviously it's not as bad as what I'm going to bring up. It's not as horrible as what I'm going to bring up. But that's like when that one guy said, if it wasn't for black women, maternal mortality would be fine in our state.
Yeah.
Like, what? You can't just discount a population of people.
Yeah, if it wasn't for voters, then we wouldn't lose.
Exactly. If it wasn't for the people that voted against me, I'd win in a landslide.
I feel like every single election cycle, we have to explain to these people what population density is.
Yeah, they love pulling up that map and being like, look look at all this red and you're telling me the election wasn't rigged. It's like, it's not a map of that.
Land doesn't vote. Like, there's nothing there. That's why it's a sea of red, because it's like 8 people in those counties.
And that's why you're a Republican, because there's nothing and no one there.
Exactly. Anyways, that's the end of our episode today. I hope you enjoyed, and shout out the 1 million year Mamdani regime.
Absolutely.